Today we're going to talk about something really important. We're pulling back the curtain on a type of psychological warfare that honestly hides in plain sight, masquerading as love.
So I want you to take a second and really think about this. Have you ever been so in love with someone that, well, you kind of forgot who you even were without them? Your own identity just starts to get a little fuzzy around the edges. Or maybe this one sounds more familiar. You catch a reflection in a window or a mirror, and for a split second, you don't recognize that person staring back. Who is this anxious, on-edge person whose confidence seems to have just vanished?
And how about this one? You find yourself defending things, making excuses for your partner's behavior that if you saw it happening to your best friend, you would be absolutely horrified. That little gap right there, that's a huge warning sign.
Okay, look, if any of that just hit a little too close to home, I really need you to hear this. You are not going crazy. This is not just a bad relationship or a rough patch. What you might be experiencing has a name. It has a very predictable pattern, and most importantly, it has an escape route.
So to really get how this all works, how this perfect trap is laid, we're going to follow the story of a woman we'll call Emma. And her story doesn't start with warning bells or red flags. It starts with what felt like an absolute miracle. So Emma meets this guy, Daniel, and bam, the connection is just electric. It's like he just gets her, you know? He seems to understand things about her she hadn't even figured out how to say out loud. He mirrored her dreams, her sense of humor, her deepest thoughts. It didn't feel like being pursued. It felt like coming home.
Okay, so this incredible whirlwind beginning, it actually has a name. It's called love bombing. When Daniel started dropping words like soulmate and destiny just a few weeks in, painting this perfect picture of their future together, that wasn't just him being romantic. It was a tactic. It's a strategy designed to create this super intense bond and to do it super fast.
Emma thought she was looking into his eyes and seeing her soul reflected back. But here's the thing about a house of mirrors. It's all an illusion. What she was really falling for was a perfect reflection of herself that he was holding up. She hadn't actually met the real man behind the mirrors yet.
So the trap is set, but that perfect reflection, it can't last. Slowly, so slowly you almost don't notice it at first, the image starts to warp. The idealization phase fades, and something much darker and more confusing starts to creep in.
It starts with these little things, these comments that are cleverly disguised as compliments. You're so much deeper than your friends are. See what he's doing? He's making her feel special, but the real goal is to drive a wedge between her and her support system. He's framing the people who love her as a limitation, slowly cutting those ties.
And then comes one of the most powerful, most confusing weapons in the playbook: gaslighting. For example, Daniel would cancel their plans for Friday night. But when Emma brought it up later, he'd just look at her, all calm and collected, and say, "I never said that, Emma. You must be misremembering." And he'd sound so certain, so reasonable, that she'd actually start to think, wait, maybe I am wrong. It's this quiet, constant chipping away at your own reality.
And this creates this absolutely brutal cycle. After days of him being cold or a fight that made no sense, suddenly the charming, amazing guy she first fell for is back. And the relief she feels in that moment, it's so intense, it's almost like a drug. That is a trauma bond. You get hooked on the hope of getting back to those good times, even if the person giving them to you is also the source of all your pain.
You know, there's only so much of that back and forth a person can take. Eventually something has to give. And for Emma, it was that moment when the pain of staying in that fog finally became bigger than the fear of leaving it.
This was it, her turning point. One night, all alone, she just typed how she was feeling into a search bar. Something like, "Partner denies reality, I feel crazy." And what came back was just a whole new world. A world with answers, words she'd never heard before, like gaslighting, narcissistic abuse, trauma bonding. And in that moment, she realized, I'm not crazy, I'm being manipulated. And getting out? Well, this wasn't going to be a normal breakup. It had to be like a tactical mission, a prison break. First, she secured her assets, a secret bank account, her important documents. Second, she found her exit window, planning it all around a business trip he had coming up. Third, the disappearance itself, moving only the essentials, leaving a simple, emotionless note. And fourth, and this is absolutely critical, the lockdown. She blocked him on everything, total radio silence.
But getting out of the environment, that's just the first battle. The real war is the one that's fought inside your own head. It's the hard, messy, painstaking work of rebuilding the person you were before they took you apart piece by piece.
Because as soon as you're gone, this is what happens next.
The abuser tries to hoover you back in, just like a vacuum cleaner. Daniel's attempts were textbook. He'd call from blocked numbers. He'd send emails that would cycle from desperate pleas of love to pity plays about being in the hospital to just outright threats. Emma's absolute no-contact policy was her shield. It was her lifeline.
And true recovery, it's not something that just happens to you. It is an active reclamation of yourself. It's built on these pillars. Finding a therapist who really gets trauma, not just relationship problems. Becoming an expert on the abuser's playbook, which helps take the shame away. Reconnecting with friends, and most importantly, with yourself. Allowing yourself to feel righteous anger at what happened. That's a gift. And finally, integrating the experience. Not to forget it, but to use it to build a wiser, stronger self from it.
Going through all of this, it gives you a whole new way of seeing the world, a new kind of awareness. But it also throws a huge and often painful societal blind spot right into the spotlight.
And this is one of the hardest parts for so many survivors. The abuser's public persona is often beloved, charming, successful, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. So when a survivor finally speaks their truth, people they don't believe them. They can't reconcile the two realities. And that disbelief, that's like a second betrayal. It can hurt almost as much as the abuse itself.
But here's the incredible thing that can happen on the other side. Survivors often experience something psychologists call post-traumatic growth. You don't just go back to the person you were before. No way. You emerge from the fire with this razor-sharp discernment, this rock-solid trust in yourself, and a new sense of purpose. It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. You're not the same. You're someone new, forged in fire.
So, if Emma's story has resonated with you, if you felt that knot in your stomach getting tighter as you've been listening, then this last part, this is for you. This is about your first steps forward, starting right now. Okay, here are 3 practical things you can do right now to start taking back control. 1, start writing things down, just the facts, in a secret password-protected note on your phone. This is to anchor yourself in reality. 2, tell one person you trust completely, and just say these 5 words: I need you to believe me. And 3, save this number, the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They get it. You don't need a single physical bruise to call them. They understand this kind of abuse.
In the end, the way out begins with a single, rebellious act: believing yourself. Your feelings are valid. Your memories are real. Your pain is not a weakness. It is evidence that you have been violated. So make that promise to yourself right now: I will no longer apologize for my own reality. That is the very first step on the path back to you.